everyone, it's Lexi, and today I'm going to share with you all the books I ended up reading in the month of July. This was actually a really good reading month for me. I read a total of 8 books, which is unheard of for me, but I think a part of it was that I ended up going on vacation in Canada in the beginning of the month, and then we went to the Smoky Mountains kind of towards the end. So if you kind of want to see everything that happened, I have a vlog of the Smoky Mountains that I'll link down below on my other channel, on my vlog channel. It's really fun. There's a lot of, I got a GoPro for this trip, so there's a lot of underwater stuff. We went to the caves, we went zip lining. I almost sent the guide flying off the thing, like the platform, because I was going in so fast. So if you kind of want to check that out, then kind of click here. I'll link it down here. So without further ado, let's get started. So I did not start out the month with a good book, so I was actually really excited when this book came out. I was a really big fan of the first one. A part of me thought that this book wasn't really necessarily needed a sequel to it. If you've read the book, you'll understand. And it is After You by Jojo Moyes, and this is the follow-up novel following Me Before You, and which was about a girl named Blue who has a very kind of uneventful life until she meets this guy Will, who she's kind of the caregiver for, who is in a wheelchair. And basically, I'll leave it at that because I don't want to spoil anything, but I was not impressed with this book at all. I don't know. I love reading from Blue's perspective, but I did not like the storyline at all. I felt like, I don't want to give away, so I'll leave it very vague, but it was just like, it could have ended with the first book. So I gave this book 2 stars, only because I liked reading from Blue's perspective. But other than that, like, if you like the first one, I recommend you not read this one. It's not worth the time. Next, I read the first book in the Grisha trilogy by Leigh Bardugo, and this is Shadow and Bone. And I really like this. It's about a girl named Alina who is very ordinary, she thinks, and she is a soldier in the army, and she has to cross this fold, which is basically like this cloud of darkness that has these kind of bad creatures in it. And when she's in there, she gets attacked, and she finds out that she is what they call a sun summoner, where her power is that she can summon the sun and do light and all this stuff. And basically, the Grisha are people that can have these powers. So like sun summoner is rare. The Darkling is like the most powerful Grisha there. Then there's people who can do like kind of air and fire and all this stuff. So she ends up being very special, and that takes very big interest of the Darkling, who thinks that she could be used to kind of defeat the fold. So I'll leave it at that because I want to leave it vague, but I really like this. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. I did think there was kind of some struggle with the world building and all that, but I really liked it. I liked reading from Alina's perspective. I feel like there's a lot of character growth in this as well, and I finished this really quickly. It was so good. And then I also read the next one, which was Siege and Storm, and this one I gave 5 out of 5 stars. It was my favorite of them. I love how we get introduced to like the prince, and he was my favorite character of this, I will say. I just love his character. I don't want to give too much away about the plot, but if you were kind of iffy about the first one, I highly recommend that you check out the second one. It was really good. My favorite. So many twists and turns. And then right after I read that, I also had to read the last book, Ruin and Rising. It was so good. I really liked it. I gave it 4.5 out of 5 stars. I thought it was a really good conclusion. I did have some issues with the character Mal. Basically, like, this is my perspective, so if you read it, let me know if you think. But basically, I thought, like, a big thing of this novel was that he didn't like Alina for who she was becoming, and he only wanted to be with her if she was subordinate to him, like if she was inferior to them. And I thought that was like a big kind of issue in this, so let me know if you thought about that, because he wasn't accepting Alina when she was kind of getting to know her powers and all this stuff. So when she was superior to him, he did not like that, but once, you know, like, he kind of liked her when he was inferior to her. So, like, just let me know what you thought about this, but overall, I really like this series. I was a little hesitant going into it because I heard very mixed reviews about it, but I really liked it. I thought it was a really good conclusion. I really want to read Six of Crows next, so, yeah. So next I also read, it's called Sex at Dawn, How We Mate, Why We Stray, and What It Means for Modern Relationships by Christopher Ryan. And basically this is like kind of the anthropologist in me. It talks about how human mating is very different in how things that are kind of normal out in nature are kind of frowned upon and are taboos within our society, and I thought it was really interesting. It was actually surprisingly a quick read, and I really liked it. It wasn't that hard to kind of follow. It was just really interesting, and if you are into like kind of anthropology, kind of how humans evolved, I highly recommend you check this out because it kind of talks about how kind of these cultural monogamous stereotypes kind of came into place and how they're not necessarily what is best for society, I guess you could say. And I gave this a 3 out of 5 stars. It was interesting. I'll say that. The next book that I read was The Winter's Curse by Rutkoski, and I didn't know really going into this. I knew that there was a girl who was the general's daughter who's not really good at fighting, but she is very intellectual. She's very always 2 steps ahead of everyone, and she ends up purchasing a slave, and that the slave kind of, we learn, has his own agenda. So basically, like, her people kind of invaded the slaves' country, and now they are all kind of slaves and all that stuff. So first, like, for the first 3/4 of the book, I was like, I don't understand the plot of this, but basically, if you've read this, you'll know, like, that big twist towards the end and all of that stuff. So I'm curious to kind of see how this book, like, this series continues, just because I was like, I don't really understand what's really going on that much. I gave it a 4 stars, 4 out of 5 stars. I liked it. I really like the character of Kestrel. I think that's how you pronounce it, Kestrel. And she was just really interesting. I like how she's kind of very untypical of what we see, where she's not a fighter. She's not very strong physically, but she's strong mentally and intellectually. And I really like that. So I'm curious to see how everything kind of takes place in the 2nd and 3rd book. Just, I don't know, I think it will just be really interesting to see. And so hopefully the series kind of picks up, because for the first like 3/4 of the book it was like, I don't understand the point of this. So hopefully it gets better from there. And next, these are rereads for me because the next book comes out August 2nd, and I wanted to make sure that I had everything kind of, I remembered a lot, because I forget. I read this last year and I forget like everything, so I have to reread it because there's a lot going on. So I read The Kiss of Deception and The Heart of Betrayal by Mary E. Pearson, and this is a trilogy about a princess named Leigh who is kind of forced into this arranged marriage, and on her wedding day she and her best friend run away to kind of this seaside town, and the book takes kind of 3 perspectives: Leah's perspective, the assassin who is sent out to kill her, and the prince who kind of wants to understand why. He kind of wants to understand Leah and why she left before, like, because he was planning to flee too. So I really like this. I'll kind of leave it at that because there's a lot of twists and turns in this, and I don't want to give too much away about the second one. But I am so super excited. Both of these books are 5 out of 5 stars. I loved them just as much as I read them the first time. The writing style, I love Leah. She's a very strong character, and like kind of Kestrel, she is very smart intellectually, and she does have her physical things, like she can be deceiving, and I like that. So I can't wait for the last book to come out. Like that was my most anticipated book of this year. So that's it, guys. I hope you enjoyed this wrap up. Let me know in the comments below if you've read any of these books and what your thoughts and opinion are, and don't forget to check out my vlog of the Smoky Mountains. There's actually some funny stuff in there too, and interesting because we went to a cave that was 35 million years old. So yeah, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, and I'll see you next time. Bye, guys.